Early sobriety, the time when you decide to quit drinking and you get that mountain in front of you of how am I going to stay sober long enough to actually stay sober. And we find that this is a very difficult thing to do. I myself, and I think Terry also can speak to this, we're perpetually in early sobriety. Right? We would get sober for 3 weeks and then go back out and get sober for a week and go back out, but we were never able to have a long lasting success of sobriety until some certain things happened. And we're going to talk to you about those certain things that have to happen for you to be able to stay sober. Now, I want to give you guys a disclaimer, and that is if you're in early sobriety, that means alcohol is probably still in your system. And while Terry and I are not doctors or trained professionals, you will want to see a doctor no matter how much you've been drinking, because alcohol is, in the quantities we have, dangerous to your system, and even in any quantities. So it's always a good idea to go to the doctor. If you feel like there's some issue, go to the ER, figure it out. Detox can be deadly, so you don't want to mess around with this stuff. Now, what we're going to talk about today is some of the mindset stuff that's going to help you. Now, mindset stuff is great, good, and wonderful, but it's not going to fix the health stuff. So you got to fix the health stuff first. Now, when we're talking about early sobriety, we want to talk about the flood of emotions, the roller coaster of emotions, the struggles that we deal with in trying to stay sober, the struggles that we deal with in trying to finally quit drinking once and for all. And today that's what we're going to go over and show you what it was that helped us. Because I was an expert at early sobriety. I was excellent at it. I just couldn't push past a week or 3 weeks. I couldn't get there. And the question is why? And today we're here to answer that question. So Terry, how are you doing and what are your thoughts on early sobriety?
I'm doing okay. It's another somewhat beautiful day in California. A little cloudy, I guess. For us, that kind of means rain. I don't know. But anyways, early sobriety. Yeah, like Marcus, I was in early sobriety many, many times, and I couldn't get past that early sobriety. I'd start drinking again. And one of the big things about it for me was the fact that every time I'd quit drinking, I'd sit there and fight and fight and fight. I have to do all this stuff. I have to do all this stuff. I have to go to meetings and not drink and do all these different little tricks and stuff that everybody's telling me to do and stay busy and do all these things. And yeah, those are all good things to do. I got a lot of good advice. But the one thing I didn't do was I didn't take it easy. I didn't take care of myself. I didn't, make sure that I was doing okay. I just thought I had to fight and fight and fight this thing. And I tell you, right now, after, 6+ years of sobriety, if I was still fighting this, I guarantee I wouldn't be sober, and that was key, is I had to stop fighting. I had to let go. I had to just do what I could do that day, that hour, that minute, whatever. I just had to do what I could do, and that's it. And not worry about it. If I was tired, take a nap. If I was hungry, eat something. If I was starting to isolate, go call somebody or go hang out with another sober alcoholic. Or if I was bored, go do something. It was really, a lot of it was taking care of myself. It seems kind of selfish, but I had to get sober. Alcoholics spend such a long time developing their alcoholism. We can't change this stuff overnight to get sober. It's just virtually impossible. It's a difficult thing to do. And, I just started to go slow, do whatever I could that day, and move on and just look forward to the future. When I first got sober, I was super happy to be sober. I was super happy. Well, what I'm saying is actually when I got through detox, after I got through detox, I was so happy that it was behind me. And I never wanted to go through detox again. That just sucks. And I'm sure many of you have experienced it. It's dangerous. It can kill you. As Marcus says, you need to go to a doctor. That's absolutely what I had to do, was go to a doctor and have them treat me for those physical symptoms. In fact, those physical symptoms almost killed me. So this stuff's real. But once I got over that, I was so happy to be sober. And then it was just like, okay, now what do I do? And the people told me, just take it easy. Don't worry about it. Just don't drink. That's the most important thing. After that, take it easy, relax, and just try and do the things that we're suggesting that you do. It's okay if you don't get them 100%. The thing you have to do 100% is not drink. And then slowly things started to come together and life started to get better slowly. And it took a while. For me, I was physically pretty sick for a few months. And then, it took quite a while for my body physically to change and start to lose weight and start to get stronger and things like that. For the weight, I'm still working on weight issues from when I was drinking, but it's slowly coming around. And that's the key, is just the patience. And it's hard to be patient. Us alcoholics, we are not patient. We want that quick fix. And that's what I wanted when I was drinking. It's like, I need a drink, I need it now. That's why my entire life revolved around things like making sure I had alcohol at all times, or if thought I was going to run out, make sure I get more. We want that quick fix. And it's difficult to just suddenly change your mindset to get away from having to have that quick fix and realizing that it's gonna come. It's gonna get better as long as I don't drink. And that was super important for me.
Yeah, and I think the importance there that a lot of people miss is when I was struggling in perpetual early sobriety, what I noticed is that there was still some holdback in my mind and in my life about alcohol, where it was like, okay, well, I'm not really ready to give it up. I wanted to have the option of, hey, 30 years from now when my daughters get married, I should be able to have champagne, or maybe I should be able to have a drink at lunch or whatever. And what I noticed is that I wasn't fully committed to having it completely off the table. And what would happen is I would trick myself, because when you have alcohol in your brain, it tricks your brain and you think reality is what's in your brain, and it's not. Reality's out here, your brain's up here. And so we look at it, and it's because of that, I was always like, okay, well, I'll be okay if I have one. I'll be okay if I just have a little bit. I'll be okay if I drink here or drink here. And I never really fully committed to, hey, I'm going to stay sober. And a lot of people look at this, and it's scary. It's like, hey, you're going to take away the one thing that works. Like right now, this is the best option. For us alcoholics, we look at it and it's like, okay, the best option I got is to go get drunk. I don't know anything better than that. And, sadly, it kind of sucks as an option. It's pretty shitty that we don't have anything better than that. But we have to look at it and we have to understand that the first step is taking it off the table completely. And I'm not saying you got to take it off the table for the next rest of your life. I don't know what the rest of my life is going to bring. But maybe say, hey, you know what? I've had plenty of alcohol. Let's go a year without it and see what happens. For 1 year, I'm going to commit to that. And not in the sense that, oh, in 365 days, I'm going to have a birthday cake with a beer in it. No. We're talking, hey, I'm going to get through this to see what it does in my life. And I think a lot of people get really hung up on this because you're holding something back. And as long as you're holding back, you're not fully committing to the idea that, hey, I'm an alcoholic and I can't quit drinking. And once I was able to look at that, it was the most freeing and terrifying thing at the same time. Because I'm like, okay, now I know I'm an alcoholic and this got me. So what am I going to do next? How am I going to live life without this stuff? And what you have to do is you have to learn to live again, and you have to completely get the idea of alcohol off the table. You have to say, hey, look, this can't happen, because my track record shows that this happens when I drink. When I drink, I get drunk, and all this stuff comes with it. And I can't break that cycle. And one of the things to realize, too, is the ability to choose, because a lot of people get hung up on this idea of surrendering to alcohol. All right? You've already surrendered to alcohol. If you're a drunk, you've surrendered to alcohol. You say, this is my only option. I have to give in to it. So you're surrendering. You're just not surrendering to the fact that it's causing bad. And if you surrender to the fact that, hey, this already beat me, like, I can't have one drink, I can't have two, I can't have a half a one, I can't even have a watered down one. Because track record, facts show 1 equals 2 equals 5 equals drunk. Well, let's try it again tomorrow. 1 equals 2. How many times did I have to prove to myself that I had already surrendered to alcohol just in the bad way? Might as well surrender in the good way and say, hey, look, this is what happens. How many more times do I need to kick my own ass to prove to myself that this does not work? And once we understand that and say, hey, this doesn't work, okay, now I'm going to find something that does work. And when we understand that, and we understand that having one drink clouds our memory and our judgment enough to where we can't really decide whether we're going to have the second one or not. How many times have you been drinking and, you don't remember how many you had? You don't remember how bad it got. You don't remember the point where you could have said, yeah, that's enough. Because you were unable to say that's enough because you had been tainted. And what happens in early sobriety is you come to a healthy place bringing a bunch of bullshit with you. Right? It's like, okay, now I'm in this healthy place. Everything's supposed to get good, but I still got all that thinking that was caused by my drinking. I still got all this stuff that was caused by my drinking. I still have old thought patterns. I still have the urge to want to drink. And guess what? In early sobriety, you're going to have a lot of urges to want to drink. That's how it goes. You drink a lot, you're going to have an urge. If you eat a bunch of sugar, you're going to crave candy. If you smoke a bunch of cigarettes, you're going to crave cigarettes. That's how we work. And if we understand that, and we say, well, a craving doesn't mean anything other than the fact that I previously had the substance that I now crave. That's all it means. Doesn't mean you're bad, doesn't mean you relapse, doesn't mean you have to give into it. It just means, hey, this is what I trained my brain to do. And I think those are big keys to understanding in early sobriety, because as long as we're dancing around the issue of maybe a light beer, maybe even a Bud 55, I mean, it's practically water, right? Well, I can tell you I had to have a lot of the old Bud 55s and ended up drunk. I don't know how, 2%, but somehow it worked. And 2% was never enough, and 5% was, and it never was enough until I said, one's too many, and one's also never enough.
Yeah, we absolutely have to smash that notion that we can have anything to drink. At least I do. I know I can have nothing to drink. Hey, just a quick answer to one question that was on there. Bryce says, does a person get some insomnia the first few days not drinking? And yeah, my sleep was affected for months. It took a long time. But this goes along the same lines as what I was saying as far as take it easy. If you're tired because you didn't sleep last night and you're able to, take a nap. That's what I did. Okay, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I need to go lay down for an hour. And I did. I still do. And, if I'm tired in the middle of the day, okay, I'm going to go lay down. Or I'm going to sit in a chair and close my eyes for a half an hour. And boom, I'm recharged. It helps. That's part of that take it easy, But as far as that first drink goes, yeah, for me, I always thought I could do just one. It was just the insanity. Did it ever work? Never. Never, ever worked. It's a difficult thing to deal with, alcohol is our answer for such a long time. And then we have to take that one answer to our life problems and our feeling good and all that and take it away. And then what do we do? So we have to find other things that we're going to do. Find other things that make us happy, or at least keep us from going crazy. And that's, for me, that was, getting busy, walking my dog, enjoying the outdoors, enjoying a good movie, whatever. Yeah. Just trying to stay busy and not drink. That was a key.
I think for me, one of the keys too is to stop fighting. you've been fighting long enough. You drink because you're fighting, and I don't mean fighting like, getting in a brawl. I mean fighting your thoughts. Like, how long have we been fighting our thoughts? You fight a thought about drinking. Guess what? You drank a lot, now you're sober. Yeah, of course you're going to have thoughts about drinking. Chemical impulses in the brain. And what I tell myself when I get those thoughts and things happen and I feel like I need to fight is just, hey, it's chemical impulses in the brain. So many of us get mad at ourselves for things that we do that are natural. It's natural to have cravings. If you don't sleep, it's natural to be tired in the day, forgetful, and, sometimes things happen. Increasingly as you get older, right? Kind of an interesting thing. But we realize that I don't need to fight anymore. I can just be, and I can relax, and I can chill, and I can say, hey, I'm going to be okay. Take what you need at the moment you need it. Right? Just take what you need. Hey, I'm tired. I need to read. I need to relax. Or, I remember I used to fight insomnia. Stupidest thing ever. I'm sitting there fighting insomnia as if that's going to make me sleep. Right? It's just giving me something else to not sleep over. Now, when I get insomnia, I listen to a tape. I say, hey, this is cool. I'm not tired. I'll get through at least 5 chapters of this book on tape. That's pretty cool. And then, I get through, the preface and I fall asleep, right? But it's interesting because, the more we fight these things, the bigger they get. The more we fight these things, the harder they get to conquer. And that's what surrendering to the fact that I can't drink anymore does. Because I used to fight and I'm going to prove you wrong. Watch, I will have just 1, drunk. I'll have just 2, drunk. I'll have this and a Diet Coke. It's not even sugar in the Coke, and you obviously get to make that work, And it didn't work. Until I gave up. It's one of those paradoxes of life, where what you're fighting, you'll never get. But when you stop fighting, naturally you get it, or you find out you didn't want it in the first place. Very, very important to look at, because did I really want alcohol in the first place? In the quantities I had? Probably not. I don't think I did. I wanted the feeling it gave me. I wanted the escape it gave me. I wanted it because it was the only solution that I thought would work. And then when I got sober, I learned there's a million solutions out there. 1 being, don't drink. 2 being, stop fighting. 3 being, take it easy. Read a book. Go out in nature. Right? One of the things that we learn in early sobriety is that with 15 minutes, you could stop the chaotic world that goes on in your mind. You are not a slave to your thoughts. Your thoughts are chemical impulses. It's like when you see someone and they're going to buy a new car and they're like, I'm going to buy a red SUV. That's what I'm going to do. And all of a sudden, the minute they decide they're going to buy a red SUV, what do they see everywhere? Right? They go for a drive and they're like, whoa. There's like a million red SUVs on the look, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there, and they all happen to be the one I want to buy. Now, let's see. Okay, are we back?
Oh yeah, it looks like
Are we back?
That's good.
We're back? Type 15 if we're back. The number 15. I gotta ask something specific, otherwise we don't know, right? Okay, cool. That's why y'all need to sign up for our course, so we can afford equipment that works.
15. Okay.
I'm just kidding. Calm down. But yes, I put new computer memory in my computer, and apparently it was faulty, so they couldn't ship the new stuff until this weekend, so hopefully we'll get that ironed out. But at any rate, that is what the crash was about. So, back to the story, right? You're out there, you decide to get the SUV, and the question is now that I see all these red SUVs everywhere, did 2 red SUVs get together and have a bunch of babies, and there's actually more of them? Or is it just my mind noticing them? And the answer is it's our mind noticing this stuff. And I think that's very important because we get down on ourselves about these things when in actuality, that's not really the problem. Like you have cravings, so what? You have bad thoughts, so what? I remember one of the most dangerous things I learned at a young age was about, I learned it at church. I grew up in a very churchy family, and the pastor stood up there and he said to us, you're at war with your thoughts, and the devil's literally there controlling your thoughts, and you need to fight him. And he told us to take every thought captive. Now, for those that don't know, OCD and alcoholism, a lot of people think they go really hand in hand, right? It's obsession of the mind to drink and the compulsion of the body to go get it. So it's much like other OCD. And when you tell someone with OCD to take every thought captive, they OCD about it. They obsess about it. And so for me, that was a very dangerous thing. And I took that with me until probably 6 months, maybe a year into sobriety, when I understood that my thoughts are nothing but chemical impulses in my brain. And they didn't mean anything. Didn't mean I was bad or good because I had thoughts, right? You don't go to jail for thoughts. You go to jail for what you do on the thoughts, right? If I think about robbing a bank, that's just me. I probably watched too many movies about bank robbers, and that's the end of it. But if I actually go do the action, that's where the infraction occurs. So when we look at it and we say, hey, I got a thought about drinking. Oh my God, I'm terrible. I relapsed. No, you didn't. You don't relapse till you go drink. I can't get drunk if I don't drink. That is a fact, with the exception of one medical condition that like 4 people in history have had. It's the only exception. So unless you got that, you ain't gonna get drunk unless you drink. You can take that to the bank. Hopefully not the one you're thinking about robbing. But at any rate, that is a fact. And as long as I bank on that, I'm gonna be okay. And everything else, I don't have to take my thoughts seriously. I don't have to take them captive. I don't need to stress about this. I could give up and say, hey, my mind works the way it works because it was programmed, it was built a certain way. I'm not going to get mad at my computer because I got some bad RAM and it shut down. That's what happens. You put the bad RAM in the computer, it shuts down. Sometimes you're going to have an error. And you know what? Sometimes you might not even notice the error. But the RAM in there is working good. It's faster than ever. It's like, woohoo, here we go. All of a sudden, it loads this program that I hadn't ran in years. Boom, it crashes it. Same thing happens with your brain. Right? There might be something you go along, you're fine in sobriety. Like me, I was fine in sobriety, still fine in sobriety. Some things shifted around in my family. And started reminding me of things that I hadn't thought about in a long time. It's like those programs running. And I had to figure out, hey, there might be some faulty memory in my brain here. Because it's starting to make me think about things I used to think. And it's starting to go in loops. And it would have been really easy to take it serious and listen to it. And probably would have taken me to the bar. But I had to realize there's a difference between the content of your mind, the stuff, the words that you're thinking, and the working of your mind. Right? The content of the mind, like I had Talk Sober up, I got Skype up, I got the chats up. That's the content. If I tried to fix that content, would the problem with the RAM ever get fixed? If I said, oh, you know what, it's probably, I think it's Terry's shirt. That's what shut down the computer. It's too blue. He needs a Doors shirt, because the Doors are arguably one of the best bands in all of history. Right? No, that's not going to fix it. I got to understand it works. I got to understand where the flaws are. And I got to understand the content of mind versus the working of mind. And that's the key to staying sober for me. In early sobriety. There you go.
Well, even continuing on from early sobriety. And then but understanding all this, it can be complicated to understand all this. And then working into your daily life, these problems come up. and then we try to overanalyze them. And, going back to that, taking it easy. Derek said, he's 6 years no drink, and he had his first intense alcohol drain. It's okay. I've had them too. I haven't had one in quite a while, but I've had them. It's all right. Wake up, I'm sober. I'm like, oh, okay, still sober. All right, that's cool. I don't try to put any meaning into it. It's okay. Maybe there's stress or something. I could try and analyze it and probably figure out what may have led to that drinking dream. Whatever. You
Yeah.
know. Yesterday I had a dream, or last night I had a dream about ticks on my dog. And that was because I read a post about somebody that went hiking near me and they ended up with a whole bunch of ticks on their dog. And that's why it happened, whatever. But I don't worry about it. It's okay. It's all right.
It's kind of
You
a
know, uh,
relief.
there's a lot of comments here that have exactly what to do with what we're talking about. Stephanie says, she's 9 weeks sober and life gets better. Still want to sleep? Yeah, definitely. I hear you. 9 weeks sober. I wanted to sleep, but I didn't worry about it. Some days I woke up, I was tired, I just didn't do much. And then when I felt like I could take a nap, I laid down. I did it. That's what I did. Didn't worry about it. These it's that's what it's all about, is just don't be so hard on yourself. We get sober. I was just this way. I got sober. Want to do this and that. Become successful. I'm sober. I can do anything now. And I couldn't. I couldn't do anything now. But I could stay sober, 1 minute at a time. I could stay sober. And then I could move in the right direction to get things done that I wanted to get done and repair those relationships. I can move in that direction. But really, a lot of the things like repairing relationships are just a matter of staying sober and proving to people, because I can say all I want to say. Are they going to believe me? No, they're not going to believe me. I showed them for years that I couldn't stay sober when I said I was going to be sober. Sometimes things just take time. And that's where the patience has to come in, and not getting stuck in that mindset of we have to do this and have to do that and everything has to change right now. You know. And Donna said one. It's a little bit off the subject, but that's okay. You were mentioning, does anybody have problems, listening to Talk Sober or any other recovery stuff when, in the kitchen with family and all that stuff? Yeah, I hear you. I'm in an office with a closed door, separate bedroom, and that helps a lot. But I mean, I'm open with what I talk about and my alcoholism, but some people don't have that luxury of being able to do that, and it's difficult. But maybe headphones or something, or I don't know. There's things you can do. Marcus gets to go back in his backyard in his office on his 50-acre property. No, I just kidding.
No, it's funny that you bring that up, because sometimes I still am weary. Like right now, it's warm out, and so I have the door open here and the window open here, and I know on this side where my office is built, the neighbors are right there, so like I could be heard. And sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm talking about weird stuff. I think between this and my other business, my neighbors have probably figured out that I'm certifiably insane. So that does work to my benefit. But yes, there are some things like in early sobriety, when I'd listen to Ram Dass or Alan Watts. Those guys are kind of out there, and so I was a little embarrassed about other people hearing what I listened to, so I would put them on my phone. And that's something you can do. I think YouTube has a setting where you could put it on your phone and then just throw it in your pocket, and it'll still play even though the phone shuts down. Like, not completely shut down, but like the screen goes dark. That's something you can do. Another thing you could do is carve out time for when you're going to listen. Another thing you can do is really look at the fact that you're trying to do something better. You're trying to stop drinking. You're trying to live a different life. And I think that's more noble than any embarrassment about the manner in which you're doing it. Like we're talking about the manner in which you're trying to do better. It'd be like, if I went to the gym And for those that don't know, I'm like 5 feet tall, maybe 130, 140 pounds soaking wet, right? I go to the gym, and if I wanted to go to the gym, I don't go to the gym, obviously. But if I did want to go, it would be easy to be embarrassed about the amount that I lift, because guys are like, oh, you lift the 100 pounders or whatever. And I'd go get my, half a pound one, lift the marshmallows, and, it might be a little embarrassing. But I have to look at it like, hey, I'm trying. I'm doing something. I'm there. A lot of people aren't even there. And you see this with, people who are on the heavy side that go to gyms. They're afraid of being judged, but hey, you ain't going to lose the weight if you don't go and do the stuff. And sometimes you just need to convince yourself, I'm doing what is better for me. It reminds me of the story of my uncle. One time we had decided to take a table. Me and my brother moved out at a young age, and my grandma gave me this table, and we were going to put it in the back of my brother's truck. And my uncle had this idea of how it was going to work, and my dad came in and said, no, you're wrong, the table's going to fly out. And my uncle was like, no, it's not, just drive. And so we drive, and as karma always is, or whatever it is, my dad and my uncle always have this feud about, my dad always likes to point out when he's right. And so we drive, and this table goes and just shatters in the middle of a busy intersection. And so we pull over, and there's like 5 cars following us, and the whole family gets out, and they're like, oh, we got to pick this up, and you should have done this, and oh, you should have done that. You should have listened to this guy. You should have listened to that guy. What we needed to do was, and so everyone's in my uncle's ear, and he's already embarrassed about the fact that, hey, you had an idea, and it didn't pan out. The thing busted, just like your brother told you, which no one ever wants their brother to be like, I told you so. Like, that's the worst thing to ever hear. And so this table busts, and my uncle's a big guy, and you don't want to be around this guy when he's mad. He's like, you might as well get the red curtain because the bull's coming after you. And so everyone's barking at him about this, and he goes, everybody find something to do because I'm doing this. And he pointed at the table like, get the out of here. I'm fixing this table. That's what I'm doing. I don't care about embarrassment. Everyone do something. And I always like that story because in our lives, we need to say, everybody find something to do. This is what I'm doing. And I know in our culture and in our societies, there's a lot of stigma and negative talk about the dirty old alcoholic, and we have this idea of what it is. And I tend to believe that anyone who drinks enough alcohol would be the alcoholic. That's how the chemical works. You drink enough, chemical dependency is going to kick in. It's going to happen. I don't care who you are. Some of us it takes more, some of it takes less. Rock bottom, rock top, whatever. You drink enough, you're going to get drunk, and you're going to be a drunk. It's the way it is. And so we look at that, and first we accept, okay, this is where I'm at. And second, we accept, holy crap, I was able to see through it enough to reach out for help. Third, I'm consuming content that's going to help me. Whether it's Marcus and Terry, whether it's this, whether it's whatever. I ain't got nothing to be ashamed or embarrassed of. I'm taking a stand. This is what I'm doing. Everybody finds something to do. I'm staying sober. I'm going to do this. And if people see, alcohol on the screen, or, the algorithm loves to show you, like I do a lot of research in my businesses, and sometimes I'll be researching something, and, it'll be on my computer, and it's like, okay, apparently, Marcus is thinking about training camels, I don't know what's up with it. And it's like, no, I just found this thing about it, and now the algorithm's feeding it to me. But we have to look at it and say, hey, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing. And it is a good thing. If I'm working at staying sober, if I'm working at doing this, I remember I was embarrassed to go to AA. I didn't want to be one of those guys. But hey, so what? Everybody finds something to do. I'm staying sober. That's what I'm doing. Y'all do what you're going to do. Just what I'm doing.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things for my early sobriety, and it still is I had to let go of what other people were thinking. And when I was drinking, I had that attitude. I don't care what anybody thinks. Da 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 da. But this was different. I'm not going to let other people's opinions affect my sobriety as far as what's cool, what's not cool, whatever. The sobriety is much more important to me because I'm not going to live if I'm not sober. So I had to let go of that stuff. And that can be a difficult thing to do. It meant I had to, give up some of those friends, those drinking friends. The ones that are like, well, you can't drink. What's wrong with you? You know?
Hmm.
Oh, well, I've got a lot more friends now. Most of them are sober. That's
And
okay.
and it's
You
funny
know?
because no one really cares if we drink or not.
Right. Exactly. That's,
I
that,
thought they
that's,
would. Yeah.
that's something I've totally experienced is, you know, you go out to dinner with a bunch of people and you're a little bit nervous because they're all going to have drinks, but they're normal drinkers. They're going to have a glass of beer or wine or whatever, or maybe a second one, and I'm like, I'm not going to drink. The
Yeah.
server comes up and, yeah, I'll have a 7 Up, splash cranberry. Okay. They don't care.
Nope.
I catered in bars for a long time sober, and um, bartender always comes down because they want me to give them some food, right? So they're like, "Hey, you want something to drink?" I'm like, "Yeah, you got any Pellegrino?" "Yeah, yeah, I'll be right back." It's not, "Oh, come on, you want a shot of this and da 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 da." It's, "Yeah, okay, yeah, here you go." I'm like, "Here, all right, here's some crab cakes."
Mhm. It's
That's
funny too.
They don't care.
The amount of free drinks I get when I order non-alcoholic stuff at the bar. Like, you tip them and they're just like whatever. But you tip them after whatever. But yeah, half the time they'll
Yeah,
just be like, "Here's your Coke, you're good."
yeah, and they come
Um,
up and grab your glass even though you don't want another one and refill it for
yeah,
you. Yep, yep, what they do.
yep. And I think it's interesting because a lot of this stuff's just in our head, and we realize how silly it is. Like I was willing to go to an early grave because of a stigma about being able to drink. That's really what it was. It's like, hey, who cares? All right. Donna says saving calories for the drink, drinking as a replacement for food energy is what created the dependence in me. Eventual addiction was almost inevitable. It's truly lovely and freeing to let go. I absolutely agree. I have battled eating issues throughout my entire life, more so in my early 20s. But when I drank, yeah, I would drink to replace calories. And it was difficult because those calories are empty. And when you're replacing calories, you get drunk a hell of a lot faster. It hits you way quicker. And, it just throws you into that cycle. And I've learned now there's things you can enjoy that will replace the calories. You go eat, have an apple, have some fruit. Right now, I'm on a very strict regimen where I eat my sugar-free oatmeal, no sugar, no sweetener, no nothing. I mix. It's actually pretty good. I mix oatmeal with turmeric and cinnamon.
Yeah,
I'm like,
cinnamon is
hey,
yeah, cinnamon will give you the feeling of sweetness. So definitely.
yeah. And then the turmeric I have because I smoke cigars and I know that's like a really good thing for that kind of stuff.
Oh,
So that helps. Yeah, they show some kind of studies or something. It's not like a guarantee or anything, but hey, maybe it'll help. And I actually like turmeric, which is kind of cool. So feels healthy. But then I have apples, and I try to eat healthy. Can't have soda anymore, which is good. I mean, I think I've lost a little bit of weight, which is cool. But these things that you feel like you can't live without, it actually becomes a non-essential. You don't even care. Like I don't even miss alcohol right now.
right. That's the key. Totally. It's,
Mhm.
I'm so happy that I don't miss it, and if I did, wouldn't be sober.
Yep.
Hey, Benjamin has a good idea here, and this is something we could all take. I've actually done something similar, but he says, you know what I'm doing? I'm studying for the LSAT, but am not in law school. I just want to understand law and logic better. Hey, it's something that interests them. It's something that's getting them busy. I did a similar thing. I went and got a real estate license. Studied the books, and took the test. Passed the test first try. I had some friends. I have some friends that are in real estate. They're like, "Hey, you want to hang your license and start working for me?" I'm like, "No, I'm a chef. I just wanted to understand it." And
Yeah.
I learned it. It took some time. It kept me busy. It was something that was interesting to me, and it was pretty cool. There's something to do in sobriety. Learn something, even if you're not going to use it. It'll still help.
Yeah, it's actually really cool how much opens up to us in our life. Like, it's amazing. I used to sit and fret about all this stuff that I had to do or not do. And right now, transparency, like, stuff is going crazy in some of my businesses. I'm overwhelmed with things to do. But I'm able to take it in stride and say, hey, you know what? Let's put out the fires as they come. When I was drinking, I'd wait till the whole mountain was on fire, and then I'd come and like pour the last drop of beer on it and be like, why didn't it go out? Well, it didn't go out because you're drunk and you're focusing on the wrong stuff. And when we get sober, we learn that we can live a whole new way, and that's what sobriety's about: is living a completely new way, and it could be the biggest blessing in the world.
B says, I have found that getting back in the gym daily has helped me so much. The days I don't go, I find myself drinking. And, for me, I usually get on my bicycle like 5 days a week, somewhere around there. I don't hit a gym or anything like that. I do walk the dog every day, but it's really a routine is what I do. What do I do on those 2 days that I don't go to the gym, though? I understand the feeling of, if you're getting used to going to the gym all the time, and those days you don't feel as good, and I get that feeling. But I plan these things. Today I'm not getting on the bicycle, and that's because I have errands to do. I got to go run a bunch of errands, and I'm going to do this and that. I have these plans for the day, and that's what helps a lot. Exercise is definitely good if you're able to exercise. For any of you able to exercise, that's a great thing to do. And especially in that early sobriety, but take it easy, do it under a doctor's care. That's what I did when I got sober. I said, when can I get back up? I was always a cyclist, even when I was drunk. It was really sad and dangerous. But when I got sober, I wanted to get back on the bike, but I was pretty sick. So talked to the doctor. He said, yeah, you can probably get on. After a few months, he's like, you probably take some short rides and just start slow, maybe once a week, that sort of thing. Do it under their care. That can help you a lot. Walsh, 51 days clean and sober. Good job.
Karen brings up an interesting one. Many of my family members wanted me drunk. If I was sober too long, I would talk about issues uncomfortable for them. Yeah, that can be an interesting thing. Um, you said you got 31 years clean and sober last month, so you probably got some stuff that you could teach us too. But we look at that and we're like, okay, well, maybe avoid those topics if that's the issue for them, or issues, and just take it in stride. We don't really have to talk about issues if other people don't want to, as long as we can keep whatever it is that's bothering us at bay and understand it and help ourselves out of it. I think that's the key. What would you think about that, Terry?
Sorry, I have no idea what you just said. Sorry. I was reading comments. Oh boy, I just got caught. Peter says, what's a sober drunk? Well, it really depends on who you ask, but you could call me a sober drunk because I can't take a drink. So I am an alcoholic. I'm still an alcoholic, although some people would argue that. There's the old argument of recovered alcoholic or recovering alcoholic, but I do know that I can't even have one drink because it will start that insanity again. So I could be called a sober drunk. Another definition would be somebody that's in sobriety that they're not drinking anymore, but that's it. They might be like an angry drunk or something. I mean, an angry sober person because they haven't started to learn to change their mindset. They still have that alcoholic mindset because they don't work on sobriety at all. They just don't drink, and I'm not gonna drink. That's it. I'm done. And then maybe some of you know those people, or maybe you are one of them, or one's close to you that's just that way. And I see it quite often. People that are sober that just are not enjoying life, or it's not so much enjoying life, but just not really working a sobriety program to where they can improve themselves. That's it can be a difficult way to stay sober, but people do it. It works.
Derek has an interesting one I want to point out because I think while it can seem helpful, it can also be a trap. And he says, we don't all drink for the same reason. Find your reason and it'll help you. Well, I would preface that with proceed with caution, because when I first tried to get sober, I was obsessed with finding the reason that I drank. Like I had to know the reason that I drank. And it ended up being a trap for me because the reason was not what I thought it was. Because one, here's the issue. If you're continuing to drink and you're trying to find the reason you drink with a drunk brain, you're going to try to solve the problem within the problem, right? Like if you have a broken wrench and you try to fix the wrench with the broken wrench, it's not going to work. The thing's broken. You got to get a new wrench, right? If you have a mind that is addicted, finding the root cause isn't always the thing, because it's very interesting, because I don't think, from what I've heard, that Terry can say, there's one reason I drink and this is it. I think he's like, hey, I like drinking, and pretty soon it got away from me. And I think that had he looked for that one reason, he'd probably still be looking, right? Because sometimes there is no one reason. And I will also preface that with there's plenty of other people that have all kinds of problems and drink, but aren't alcoholics. Okay? So the alcoholic is a different breed. And when we're alcoholic, we need to understand that the amount of alcohol we're consuming, I don't care who you are or what problems you have, you are now in this box of alcoholism that was created by alcoholism, and pointing to the root cause is not going to help, because now you're trapped. Now you got this issue of chemical dependency, right? And even if you took the Pope or whoever it is you think is like the perfect person who would never be a drunk, if you said, hey, here's how much Marcus drank it, he'd be an alcoholic in no time. So for him to go back and be like, well, it's because my Pope duties were too difficult or whatever. No, it's because he drank a lot of alcohol. So I think we need to get to a point and say, I'm an alcoholic because I drink alcohol. Otherwise, they'd call it Marcus as when he was 5 years old, this happened aholic. But they don't. They call it alcoholic because we are addicted to the alcohol. I actually found, I got books. I went to therapists. I went to counselors. I went to seminars trying to figure out why I drank, because I thought if I solve that, everything's going to go away. I found out the exact opposite was true. When I got sober, the issues worked themselves out. And I'm no longer, I can't tell you the one reason I drank. Can't tell you. I had anxiety, so I drank for that. It helped with that. I had trauma from childhood. I drank because of that. A stressful job, I drank because of that. There's a million reasons. And it's a dead-end street. I figure out your why, figure out that, nah. Let's solve the problem first. The problem is I need to get sober. That's the problem. And then all the things kind of went by the wayside. And I found out that was a revolving door that I was just going around trying to figure it out. And it was a moot point. It didn't matter.
Right. Doesn't matter. Danon says escape. Yeah, sure. But when I was on my journey to alcoholism, I didn't have anything to escape from. Decent job, decent home, decent family. Sure, my job was somewhat stressful. Sure, the family sometimes pissed me off. Absolutely. Had all the normal problems that everybody has, but nothing bad. Didn't have a terrible childhood. I like drinking. And, all those things we talk about that may be a cause, the anxiety, trying to escape, the stress of the job, the legal problems. Yeah, those happened for me. I could blame those, but those happened for me when I was pretty deep into my alcoholism. And did they help? Did they contribute to my continuing to drink? Maybe. But as Marcus just said, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what caused me to drink. I tried to search as to why I became an alcoholic and why I became a drunk for quite a while as well. And it just, eventually I just gave up. It doesn't matter. I still don't know why. 6 years after, I talk to a lot of people that don't know why or what caused their alcoholism. I also talk to a lot of people that have some pretty good ideas on what caused their alcoholism. Sure. It might be in the family and it's just they're predisposed, and it may be as simple as that. But it doesn't matter. What matters is what's helping me stay sober, and what do I need to stay away from that drink. And that's what I try to focus on, and that's what helps me. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Kyle, 26 years old, you're 5 days sober. Right on. Good job. 5 days sober, that's incredible. I couldn't get 5 minutes. So be proud of that. Let's see.
JM says, sometimes that voice in my head says or tries to make me believe that I slept better when I drank. I think you feel like you sleep better because you fall asleep everywhere and a lot quicker. But the fact of the matter is the alcoholic really never gets good sleep. It's always interrupted, which is why we wake up with anxiety and all kinds of other stuff. A lot of what we deal with alcoholic is the chaos that alcohol does to our blood sugar, our sleeping, and our anxiety levels, and it just depletes all the stuff that's good, which is why we should always go to a doctor in early sobriety. But yeah, that I used to think that too. And then, now I sleep good. Sometimes I don't sleep good. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and whatever. Like lately I've had nightmares, but hey, whatever. I wake up and, the dog ain't chasing me anymore, so I'm good. Go back to bed, listen to a talk. Take everything in stride and just really, really mellow out.
Yeah, this is a JM Insomnia, 8 months sober. This one's kind of interesting. Last week I couldn't sleep while sick. 2 nights in a row I almost had myself talked into taking some NyQuil, but didn't give in and told that voice to shut up. For me, part of sobriety is being prepared for things. And one thing I did when I first got sober, and that was just because somebody told me to do it, was get rid of all forms of alcohol in the house. Just because you don't know what's going to happen. So got rid of all the cough syrup that has alcohol or mouthwash that has alcohol, got rid of all that stuff. But then you don't know when you're going to get sick. And when you're sick, you don't want to go to the store, right? You got to send somebody else or something, but maybe a good idea is to get non-alcoholic cough syrup. Looks like are we still on?
Yeah, we're
But
still
anyways, oh yeah, okay. So that's something you can do when you're sober and not sick, and that might help. But good job for not doing it. That's awesome. Good job.
Absolutely. And I think we have enough time for our commercial.
Right on.
You want to do the commercial this week?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
You're
All right. The commercial. If you guys want to support what we're doing here on the channel and also get 31 different letters, 31 different videos, 31 different worksheets, PDFs, all kinds of resources that you can go through to help you get and stay sober. Go over to talksober.com, right like this. Click the big yellow button. It'll take you to the sign up page, and you can support what we're doing here and also get all kinds of tools to get and stay sober. Just go ahead and go over here, put your name, email, all this info here. You can see it's secure. You'll get logins and be able to be part of our course. Also, if you want to have a private call with Terry and me about sobriety or whatever it is you want to talk about, you can go over here and click this and get a one-time private call with us as well. Very cool. It helps what we're doing here, helps us spread the message, and also gives you lots of cool stuff. Even if you've been sober for a while, I think those letters will help you because they're going to give you the mindsets that we had to get through. There were certain points that we had to get through in our sobriety where you're going to learn things and you're going to understand things and it's going to click in your brain. In sobriety, they call this the 2-foot drop, where it goes from your head to your heart. Like, you got to quit drinking. It's pretty obvious, right? But how are you going to actually do it, and how are you going to actually get the emotion to say, hey, yes, I'm going to do this? And those are the kind of things that you'll learn over at talksober.com. Again, Terry and I are not doctors or trained recovery specialists. We're just two guys sharing with you what worked for us. And I think coming from the unique backgrounds that we came from, you're going to be able to see exactly the little aha moments and the big changes that happened in our life and the things that help us. Right? There's certain things that we do on a daily basis that help us, and we go over that over at talksober.com. Click the yellow button, sign up, join the course, and we'll get you guys rocking and rolling in there. A lot of good stuff in there for you. Worked really hard on that to give you guys the tools that I wish I had when I got sober.
Yeah, let me say a few words about it too.
Mm-hmm.
Just so Marcus writes these letters about, kind of his life experiences, and so some of the letters that he writes are when he was still drinking, and then what he does in that same situation sober, and how to get through these situations to with the proper mindset and how to move forward. Then I do a video for each letter, and I kind of give you a summary of what the letter says, and then I kind of give you some of my insights as to how that might pertain to me and may pertain to you and may help you. There's also an exercise on each day, and that's just kind of to help you figure out how each subject can work into your life. There's what I call a what's next, and the what's next is just kind of, what do you do now? Now that you're done with day 3, what do I do until day 4? And that'll just kind of give you something to think about and something to do until you get to the next video the next day. Now you can, it's suggested that you do our program in 30 days. You don't have to. You can take all the time you want. But it is suggested that you do it in 30 days. Get that mindset changed as quickly as possible. But that's a synopsis of our program. There's also, throughout the program, there's other PDFs that have to do with the subject at hand, and there's some other videos on there as well. So for me, yeah, I wish I had it when I was trying to get sober. It may have helped me get there a little quicker.
Absolutely. And if you guys do want that, go over to talksober.com, click on the big yellow button. Where did my page go? Talksober.com, click the big yellow button. You can sign up. It's $27 a month, which is less than the price of a super cheap drink at home every day. So, pretty inexpensive there. And it'll help support what we're doing here. And our show, crazy. I mean, I never thought that it would reach so many people, but we're actually reaching an alcoholic every minute on this channel, which is pretty cool. And a lot of people come to us and they say, hey man, we're staying sober. We're learning the stuff that we need to have. Your words are going with us. I remember someone just did a comment. They said they're 2 years sober today. I remember when they were struggling and they kept coming and they're like, hey, I can't get sober. I can't get sober. And slowly but surely they were able to get it. And I think understanding the stuff and understanding, it's not a guarantee. It's not some trained addiction doctor thing. But I think the unique understanding that we have of the alcoholic's brain from two perspectives and the raw honesty we give you of like, hey, this is what we went through. It's not pretty. Sometimes it's embarrassing to admit. I know the letter about the airplane was pretty embarrassing to admit. rather not share that, but I think it gets the point across in a way where it's like, hey, this is going to get the point. There's nothing else I could use to get the point across the way that does. And I think it's really good to go through, even if you're just going to read it or whatever, because we are turning it into a book. But I think it'll really help you guys, and it'll help you understand what's going on. Dean says, I've done 100 days several times, but have gone back to drinking. Any tips on getting over the hump? Do what you did in the 100 days again for the next 100 days. And also, I think maybe, Dean, going through the Talk Sober course can help, because there's probably some things that you didn't think about that helped me or helped Terry or could help you, where it's like, wait a minute, yeah, that's going to go with me. Because there's rituals I do in my brain where I'm like, okay, it's stressful, and yeah, I am starting to think about drinking. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And this is full of what I do. Little things I tell myself. Little things I do. What I don't do. And that's the key. Because once you get the alcohol out of your system, which clearly after 100 days you do, according to my limited doctor knowledge, there are no letters after my name. But understanding, hey, now that this is all a mental battle, what am I going to do with this? And that's what our course is about, is the mental battle. And whether you're 100 days sober or a couple years sober, or some people come on and they're like, hey, I was 30 years sober or 23 years sober, and this stuff still helps me. I think it really, really helps. And that's over at talksober.com. Click the yellow button, get signed up, and you'll get instant access to that, and you'll be part of our community there. And, we all help each other out. I'm waiting for the famous after commercial "Right On" from Terry.
Right on!
There you go.
Sorry about that, folks.
I noticed a couple weeks back, every time I do the commercial, he's like, "Right on." Right
Yeah, I guess that's my go-to. A child of the 80s.
There you go.
I guess that's a child of the 70s. The 70s, 80s, something like that. Right around there.
Awesome. All right. Cool. I think that wraps up today. Look forward to seeing you guys in the Talk Sober course. We got some goals with the channel that we want to hit this year, so if you guys want to join out there or join over there, help us out with that, and we'll get you guys all the resources, help you guys, talk to you guys, keep you going. Thanks for being here. Subscribe, click the bell. See you next week.
Thanks for all your comments, and we'll see you all next week.
Now I got to find the turn off button. There it is. All right, have a good one, guys. Go to talksober.com. Yellow button, get signed up. We'll see you in there.